So I just got out of my early screening of The Nun thanks to Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema, who were kind enough to invite me, and while I was a little disappointed with the movie overall, I did notice a few references to the Conjuring universe at large, so today I thought it'd be fun to point those out for you guys. So needless to say, there are going to be spoilers for The Nun, The Conjuring, and Annabelle Creation, and they're going to be major ones, so if you don't want those, click away now. The first reference I saw in The Nun is actually the reverse of a reference in Annabelle Creation that ties that movie to The Nun. It's kind of weird. So in Annabelle Creation, when Sister Charlotte arrives at the Mullins house and she's unpacking, she pulls out a photo that's featuring her and 3 other nuns. Mr. Mullins picks it up and then asks who the 5th nun is that she didn't see, and that's obviously Valak. She explains that she spent a lot of time at a Romanian monastery and that the nuns there kind of isolated themselves off from the outside world. Moving back over to The Nun, the photo pops up once again once Father Burke and Sister Irene make it to the Carta Monastery. When they get there, they're told by the abbess that they'll have to wait overnight and come back to ask about the suicide because the nuns there unfortunately take a vow of silence from sundown to sun up. But fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, they're told they're allowed to stay on the monastery's lodging. While Sister Irene is unpacking her things in her room, the camera lingers just a little too long on a photo on the wall, and you can obviously see that it's the photo from Annabelle Creation. Now, The Nun takes place in 1952 and Annabelle Creation takes place 3 years later in 1955, but by the time Father Burke and Sister Irene arrive at the Carta Monastery, all of the nuns there are actually dead either by their own hands or by Valak's. This means that the time that Sister Charlotte spent in the monastery was during a time period where Valak was lying dormant. But since she shows up in Sister Catherine's copy of the photo, that means she was always there and always watching, which is pretty damn creepy if you ask me. And judging by the fact that Sister Catherine appears to be around the same age in the photo as she is in Annabelle Creation, Sister Catherine left the monastery for America at just the right time. So you can thank one person for that Easter egg if I remember correctly from my time on The Nun set, and that's the production designer on both The Nun and Annabelle Creation, Jennifer Spence. So in The Nun, after Sister Irene is able to defeat Valak by spitting the blood of Jesus Christ into her face, yes, that actually happens, her and Frenchie are seen outside helping Father Burke into the horse and buggy because he's short one eye thanks to a snake who bit it out. Yeah, this movie is totally bizarre. But anyways, once he gets into the horse and buggy, Frenchie also reveals that his name is Mauricio, and then we see a cross that's inverted bulging out of the back of his neck. But you may have noticed his connection to The Conjuring once he said he was French Canadian if you watched that movie recently. We then get to see the scene from the original Conjuring movie when Mrs. Perrin goes to one of their lectures. It turns out though that the scene is altered just a little bit to make this connection work. We see the altered footage from their exorcism in Romania, and Ed reveals that the person who's possessed is a French Canadian man with no more than a 3rd grade education named Mauricio. In the new version, Ed also says that his friends called him Frenchie, and we also get to see a shot of Lorraine screaming. In The Conjuring's version of the scene, Ed explains that he tried to kill his wife, but he ended up turning the gun on himself after shooting her in the arm. I gotta be honest with you guys, I was pretty bummed when this happened in The Nun because Frenchie was my favorite character in the entire movie. I also think this retcon is a little much, but we've definitely seen weirder in, of course, the Fargo TV show, and then there's the fact that the new Halloween is changing the original Halloween's ending just a little bit to make the story make sense, so I guess it's just the new thing to do in the modern age. But yeah guys, those are the 2 big connections to the Conjuring universe as a whole I noticed in The Nun. I'd love to hear if you noticed any other ones down in the comments below, and also let me know what you thought of The Nun. I have to see it again, but honestly, as disappointing as it is to say, I think it's my least favorite in the franchise, which is a huge bummer because Valak is the best villain in the franchise in my opinion. But regardless guys, I'd love to hear what you think of it down in the comments again, and as always, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.